In the last video, we saw that when we created the data frame, we set the parameter stringsAsFactor as equal to false. As a result, the columns which were of string type were treated as character variables. We verified that by checking the structure of the data frame using the str command, and we saw that those columns which are of string type were marked as chr. Now we will see what happens when we set the parameter stringsAsFactor equals to true. We will use the same code that we used in the previous video for creating the data frame from vectors. So the code is here where we have created the 6 vectors, and from the 6 vectors we will create the data frame called v_marks. Now here the only difference is that we will set the parameter stringsAsFactor as equal to true. So now let's head to RStudio and see the impact of this parameter setting. So here we are in RStudio. So I have planted the 6 vectors just like we had done the previous time. So let us create the 6 vectors first. So the vectors have got created. Now we create the data frame setting stringsAsFactor as false just to verify what we discussed in the last video. So I create the data frame with stringsAsFactor is equal to false. So data frame has got created. We can check the data frame by giving the data frame name. So you can see that the data frame is got 6 columns and the data is as we have given. So now if you see the structure of this data frame, so what we get is this. You can see that the string variables have been treated as chr, that is character columns, and these have got the values like we have defined. Now what we do is that we set the parameter stringsAsFactor as equal to true. Let's see what happens now. So now I create the data frame once again, setting stringsAsFactor is equal to true. Data frame has got created. If you see the data frame, it will look exactly the same as we saw last time. So you can see that the data frame is the same as what we created in the previous time when we set stringsAsFactor is equal to false. However, now if you see the structure of this data frame, we will notice some difference. You see that the string columns have been created as factors, and it says that factor with some levels. So it says that this has got 6 levels, this has got 3 levels, etc. So you can see that the factors have been created. Factors are basically the unique values of the column that the data contains. So the company column contains 3 unique values, and so it has made 3 levels out of this particular column. And you notice that the levels are Atos, IBM and MC, and each data item is now associated with the number which says which is the level to which this data is associated with. So the first record contains the company as Atos, and so the level is 1. The second record contains the company as MC, and so the level is 3, and so on. So you can check whether the particular column has been created as a factor or not by checking the class of that particular column. So I can say that class of v_marks $company. That is, I'm referring to the column company, and I can see what class it is. So if I say that, it says that it is of the class factor. You can see here very clearly. Now we notice that the factors have got levels. So we can check the number of levels in a particular factor by giving the command levels. So if I say levels of v_marks $company, it tells me that the levels are Atos, IBM and MC. I could do this for any other column also. So if I say levels of v_marks $name. So if I do this, let us see what it gives. So if I do this, it tells me that these are the levels. You can see that the levels are basically a vector. So this vector contains 6 values. That are the 6 unique values that we have given in this particular column. Now I can check the number of levels in a particular column by giving the command n levels. So if I say n levels of v underscore marks dollar company, it tells me that there are 3 levels. Now it is quite likely that in a particular data frame, you may want to add an extra level which may not be currently present in the initial data. For example, right now we have got 3 values in the column company, that is Atos, IBM and MC. Supposing now I have to add a data which contains a 4th company's name. Let's say the company's name is TNS. So I could add a level to that particular column by giving this command, that is levels of v underscore marks dollar company. I assign it to the current levels, which is the levels of v underscore marks dollar company, and the additional level which I want to add, that is TNS. So I create a vector, because levels are nothing but vectors. So I create a vector of the existing levels in the company column and the additional value that I want to give. So if I run this command now, it runs, and next if you see the levels in this particular column, that is v underscore marks dollar company, you notice that now there are 4 levels in this particular column. So now it will become possible for me to add an extra record with a new company, or any number of records with a new company called TNS, apart from adding other records which contains the company names of Atos, IBM and MC. Now to add records in this data frame, we still have a problem. That is because when we have set stringsAsFactors, it has made the columns name and roll number also as factor columns. So these columns have been given the factors, which are the unique 6 values that we have in the initial data. When I'm going to add a new record, it will definitely contain a name and a roll number which will be different from these 6 values. But the data frame will not allow me to add such a record, simply because it will allow only the values which are already there in that particular record right now as per the factor definition. So under this circumstance, what we need to do is that we need to change the factor columns which we do not require as factors to be normal character or string columns. So if I see the structure of my data frame right now, you notice that the columns name, roll number and company are factors. The company column being factor is acceptable to me. However, the columns name and roll number should not be factors. So what we need to do is that we need to convert the factor columns to be a normal string column. So let's see how to do this. So to do this, I can say that I want my v underscore marks dollar name column to be a string. So I can change that column type by using the function as character, and I can say v underscore marks dollar name. So if I give this particular command, the column name should convert itself to a character type from a factor type. So let us first verify this. What is the class of v underscore marks dollar name? So if I run this command first, it tells me that it's a factor. Now I will convert this column to be a character. So I have done that. If I once again check the class of this particular column, it tells me that it's a character column. So I will do the same for the roll number column as well. So I say v underscore marks dollar roll number, assign it to as character of v underscore marks dollar roll number. So once I have done this, if I check my structure of my data frame right now, you see that I have got my data frame in the way I desire.